Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And also Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. According to Big C and them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you so much for following Big C Sports, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys in Canada. I'm going to try it one more time because I know we're talking about the NHL. I want to say, oh, Canada, our home and native land. And I don't know if there's a boo sign with the mixer or not, Big C, but I did my best in Canada. But there's still no one I love more than them good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys?
Everything is beautiful down here. Great day to be alive, be out here enjoying the sunshine, and looking forward to spending the early evening with you on the radio and with all our many fans out there. Charlton, Major League Baseball is rolling. You know, teams are hitting streaks already, and you know, we're just kicking off. The Cubs raised their banner last night for the first time in 108 years.
Oh yeah.
Although it took a day and a half with the bad
yeah.
Everything's just exciting.
Hey, don't laugh at me, but that's called CP time that they started up at Big C. The Big C Championship in the city of C, they started on CP time, so some people understand what that means, but they still got it done, Big C. Your thoughts on CP time in the Windy City, Big C?
Well, you know, a lot of people, I mean, you get a lot of that in the islands. You do things when you get them done, you know, there's never a rush on it.
Yeah.
And that's what it was last night. Mother Nature showed up. She wanted to see the
yeah.
You know, so she hung around for a long time. And, you know, but it's a joyous night for the city of Chicago and the many great fans.
Yeah.
But, you know, everybody talked about the lovable, hateable Cubs, you know, for decades.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a team of futility that just could not get over the hump. But Charlton, you know, with the jubilation that they brought to that city, the uplifting, you know, the city that's been in so much political turmoil and violence turmoil, you know, over the past decade. You know, for the Cubs to do that for that marvelous area of Chicago and bring so much respect to that town and maybe ease a lot of tension, social tension in that community also, Charlton. You know, just a great night for baseball.
Yeah.
You know, to have the Cubs do that, you know, you've had some teams on winning streaks. You know, you think about the Minnesota Twins last year. They lost 100 games, Charlton.
Yeah.
100 games, the Minnesota Twins, but they started this season 5-1. So when you think about the bright outlook of a lot of teams, I know you talked about the Giants yesterday. That you thought that they would be better off to a better spot.
Yeah.
And they lost their catcher, but mostly for a week under concussion protocol after being hit in the helmet with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Now you think that a catcher of all people would be able to get out of it.
You would think so.
You know, very fortunate that Buster, you know, didn't sustain any type of serious injury.
Yeah.
And it's right for baseball to make him go under that concussion protocol, Charlton, because he's had some devastating injuries. Early in his career, broken ankle, you know, trying to block home plate.
Yeah.
You know, which probably cost the Giants a World Series that year. He was their best player.
Yeah.
But, you know, in baseball, you know, the first couple of weeks of baseball, Charlton, it's just unbelievable. You know, when you think about the crowds and the stands.
Yeah.
You know, it will wane, you know, as the season goes on because so many other things will be occurring. The NBA playoffs, you know, as well as the NHL playoffs, Charlton. But, you know, it's just an exciting time for springtime and baseball and the crack of the bat.
Yeah, and that's so true, Big C, when you think about everything that's going on in the world of baseball. And going back to Buster Posey, the Major League Baseball making players go under the concussion protocol. We know the NFL does it. College does it. I think it's even creeping into the high school ranks. We work with a program called Sway, which is a medical device that they can use to determine if a person is being concussed. Back in the good old days when you played Big C, they just took some smelling salts and some bacon and rubbed it up under your nose and asked, could you play again? And of course you smelled that bacon, so you said yes. But now they use more science, Big C. Would you agree? Science is better than pork, salt, and bacon, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about it, you know, I remember when I started playing football, Charlton, we had young listeners out here won't even know what I'm talking about. They had suspension helmets.
Yeah.
And these suspension helmets were a cone inside that was made of a canvas.
Yeah.
You know, that was there. You know, it looked like a lampshade.
Yeah.
But, you know, the helmet technology has proved quite a bit. I mean, we even had plastic face masks.
Oh, yeah.
That's how archaic it was. The equipment that we wore back in those days, Charles. And then, you know, you look at the advancement of the helmet. I think Rydell was the first one to come out with the advancement of the helmet to put the padding, full padding inside the helmet.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was a great move. And then, you know, with the metal face masks that were coated by rubber, that worked more of a shock absorber. But football, you know, when they had, you got a concussion, Charlton, back in those days, it was like, how many fingers do I have? You know, that was it. I mean, you got an option, you know, it's 1-4. You know, you choose between 1 and 4, so if you had 3 and you said 2, that's close enough.
Yeah, that's funny, Big C. I remember they just said, just say 2, because they never say hold up the thumb. It's always between those 4. Usually they hold up 2 fingers, so you guess 2, you're at least 25% right, Big C. So that's kind of what the Good Old Boys did back in the day. And speaking of Good Old Boys, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Today is a beautiful April the 11th, 2017, and we love bringing to you all the things that are going on in the world of sports. And I know we're talking about baseball. I just want to step back one more moment in time to the Masters. And we talked about over the past couple of programs, Big C, what would it take to get the ratings up in Masters? And we know obviously Tiger Woods would be big. That's kind of like why the Good Old Boys are mad at him for not playing in this Masters, Big C. But last year's ratings were 8.5. Okay, this week it was down to 7.6 with the first-time Masters champion Sergio Garcia. So golf is on a downslope. We've been talking about that for a long time, and I know there's always this talk about how do we get the ratings up. Well, they talk about Tiger Woods because whether they love him or hate him, that good old boy down south with the Masters wants to talk about Tiger's private life. But maybe he did that to get the ratings up because, you know, without Tiger, they're only drawing a 7.6 rating, Big C. That's horrible for the golf's biggest game. Your thoughts, Big C? Go right ahead, C.
You know, you can also, Charlton, tell how much they alienate the minorities.
Yeah.
When you look at the game of golf. I mean, Sergio Garcia wins the Masters.
Yeah.
The talk today is about Dustin Johnson.
Yeah.
He didn't even play. You know, and so this is what hurts golf.
Yeah.
You have the guys who are designated that you want to talk about whether they have productivity or not.
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong with the game. And Billy Payton, that's what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
You know, he's shown his prejudice. But even the world of broadcasting, Charlton, it's shown his prejudice. You should be celebrating Sergio Garcia, you know, who's had, 70-plus runs and trying to win a major. And had never done it. And now he's finally captured the Masters. And, he's not even being celebrated. He's not even being touted around.
No, not at all.
They're looking at a guy who was drunk and fell down some stairs in a house.
Yeah, that's funny.
I don't care what they say, but that's what Dustin did. Dustin knows what he did. Otherwise,
yeah,
the media would be talking about it in a different light.
Yeah.
They would have a medical report talking from the hospital.
Yeah.
But, you think about this, and if you want to make the game great, Charles, as far as fan appeal and attendance, you have to celebrate those who win, Charlton.
Yeah.
You can't celebrate those who don't participate.
Yeah.
And that's where golf has gone to. You're talking about the people who don't participate. So much, interest went into Tiger Woods not participating.
Yeah.
You need to take care of the guys who are on the course. Dustin Johnson didn't participate, but he has more media coverage than the winner of the Masters. And so, if the winner had been a white guy, Charlton, they'd be talking about Dustin Johnson instead of the Masters champion. So,
and yeah.
Just like I said, Donald Trump thought a Mexican won it, and he was asking for the INS.
Yeah.
They couldn't let him get out of the country with that money.
Ironically, as we're bombing Syria, which was like an ill-advised mission, he was down there at Mar-a-Lago shooting, putting on his own putting greens, Big C. I just think that's egregious. Even if you voted for Trump, if you're going to war, why are you out playing golf when you're sending, men off to fight? And whether you have men on the ground or not, but that just doesn't make any sense. The commander-in-chief out golfing when he decides to send the country off to war, Big C. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But one more thing back into the world of golf. I heard some good old boys talking up here on a radio station up here in Nevada, and they were talking about what's going to take to get golf up also. Well, ironically, we mentioned it yesterday in the last couple of days on the program. Now some of the good old boy radio stations are finally mentioning. In fact, there was an article in a lot of sports newspapers saying, how can they get the ratings up? I think Big C just told you, any sport that's going to be a segregation of sport nowadays, I think when you realize African Americans have money, okay? You have Native Americans who have money. You have Asian Americans who have money. Italians have money. You have so many different people. Mexican Americans have money. But when you're alienating that group of people who can also spend money, paying those advertisers, the advertiser that sponsor the Masters, when they put money up for the Masters, they're hoping they can grab a large population to come buy their products, whether it's Mercedes-Benz or whether it's some food or some drink company. But why would they want to only appeal to about 65% of the American population? That's what golf has done to itself by being such a segregated sport. It's embarrassing. I would have thought that maybe Jim Nantz would have brought it up, Big C, but I know they're still writing a paycheck to Jim Nantz, so you can't expect him to bring it up. But even these good old boys have to understand, when your ratings are down into single digits, if you got soap operas that hit single digits, then even your money's in trouble, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it truly is, Charles, but if you don't tell the truth, and that's been so often that broadcasters don't tell the truth, that they want to live under this cloak that everything is fine, even though they're sitting there not seeing the galleries that they've seen in the past.
No.
Following the top golfers on the tour. No one knew who the top 8 guys were. They may have known 3 of them.
Yeah.
The rest, nobody knew who they were, Charles. And they're like, okay, they're looking through, through the program trying to figure out
who's who. Yeah.
But that just shows the lack of support that the Masters and other major events, Charlton, have given to the golfers on the tour.
Yeah.
You want to cultivate 3 or 4 guys saying, these are the people who are leading the tour. When Jordan Spieth won a couple of years ago, everybody said, hey, this is a new guy.
They wanted him to be, yeah.
Beat him.
Yeah.
He beat himself. You don't have to beat him. He'll beat himself.
Yeah.
Shooting triple bogeys out there on the course. So you don't have to worry about him.
Hey, what did Richard Pryor say? Big C, remember back in the day, the great late Richard Pryor talked about how people get hurt in practice now, and Jim Brown never missed a game when he played in the NFL. Big C never missed a game, never got hurt. Now you got people that get hurt in practice. I think he was talking about Lynn Swanson, I think he broke a fingernail and couldn't play in an NFL football game. And the same thing is happening in golf. They have guys that can't even win back-to-back nowadays, even though they want them to. And you got the guy that's ranked number 1 in the world falling downstairs, if you can believe that story, Big C. That's how bad golf is going. Yeah, is that didn't Billy D Billy D Williams tell him, don't let the smooth taste fool you? Maybe they'll listen to Billy D next time. And when you look at Sergio, Danny Willett was the one who gave him the green jacket, and obviously congratulations to Sergio Garcia. But even he had some negative attitudes toward Tiger Woods because he thought Tiger kept getting preferential treatment, and that's what happens when you win 14 majors, Big C. I guess Sergio will have to figure that out someday. But the next coming up is the U.S. Open, and obviously that's going to be in Erin, Wisconsin. They have the British Open, that's in Birchdale, Southport, England, and then the PGA Championship, and that's going to be at Quail Hollow Club in Charlotte, Carolina, Big C. But obviously, no matter who's going to be playing in these tournaments, if you don't have a way to invite in the golfing viewer fan, when Mercedes-Benz writes that check for the Masters, Mercedes-Benz is writing a big check that's only getting a 7.8 viewing. They might want to put some of that money back into their cars and stop giving it to the Masters, BC. It doesn't make any sense. And if you can't draw a 7.8 rating in Georgia, in Augusta, how are you going to do it for the U.S. Open, the British Open, or the PGA Championships? They'll be lucky if they get into the 5 ratings, Big C. Your thought?
Well, it's only going to go down over the year, Charlton, when you think about it. As the evolution of the other sports kick off.
Yeah.
We're in Major League Baseball, full swing.
The more integrated sports.
You're going to have the Major League playoff. I mean, the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
The NHL playoffs, Charlton. That's where all that peak interest. You got the NFL draft at the end of this month, okay? NFL preseason, training camp will start off. So golf will really be put on the back burner, and without anybody to carry that torch, Charlton,
yeah,
it would become the lost entity of all sports in America. Only the diehardest of fans will be paying attention to what's going on in golf because we know what football does when it kicks off.
Yeah.
You got the NBA finals that's going to get at least a 15
Yeah.
On television.
At least.
That's a lot of viewers. Okay?
Yeah.
And with the rivalries in baseball, the way that they're set up, people are going to not only be in the stadium, but they're going to be at home watching these games, John.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of daytime games early here in the year with the warm weather. So all of that is going to challenge golf on the weekend.
Yeah.
So they're in an uphill battle because, Charlton, they have no bell cow anymore.
No.
Tiger Woods is not going to play. So he was the bell cow for golf. When Tiger showed up, it was a sold-out event.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
The last time I saw Tiger play was at East Lake at FedEx Cup about two years ago, I believe, or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And Tiger, was in it until the third round, and all of a sudden he wanted to pull out some long gloves, and instead of using the 3-wood, he all of a sudden he's got the driver out.
Yeah.
But and losing the ball in the woods, but the gallery that followed Tiger around East Lake, Charlton, even though he was on the leaderboard one day.
Yeah.
But the gallery that followed him around East Lake is in Atlanta, an old prestigious club that's owned by Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
But the gallery that followed him around was twice as much as any other golfers, Charlton, that were on the tour, for the FedEx Cup, which is a $10 million payout for the golfer that wins that.
Yeah.
He gets a $10 million annuity. But since then, Charlton, last year, they didn't have that at East Lake. They didn't have that following because Tiger wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so this is what affects it. You look at the NBA, and it's always a revolving door of stars, Charlton. Somebody always replaces somebody.
Yeah.
LeBron will be replaced, just like LeBron replaced Jordan.
Yeah.
Kobe will be replaced, but LeBron was a crossover.
Yeah.
And there's superstars after superstars in these team sports. But when golf, you had Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus picked up the torch.
Yeah.
Then you had a low year. You had several guys scrambling, Sadler, Daly, and a few others.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, Tiger Woods came along, Charlton. The golf was revitalized like it had never been revitalized before.
Yeah, but it's like they fought it though, Big C. They tried to fight Tiger's. You know what Tiger did was he brought a lot of people of color to the game, though.
He just like President Obama.
Yeah.
He's doing something good, but you can't appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's
And that's what it is now, Charlton. He's gone.
Yeah.
The people that did not appreciate him are like, damn, we didn't realize how good he was.
Yeah.
As a president and as a golfer, when you look at Obama and Woods.
Yeah.
He brought so much to the perspective entities as the leader of the free world and the leader of the golf world.
Yeah.
Dominated by these two African-American men that had a following that was unbelievable. And the people who have replaced him, everybody's like, this ain't what we had.
No, you're right. And I think when you think about Billy Payne, other than going into Tiger Woods, his sex life, his private life, and how much he's having and who he's getting it from, I think pejoratively it hurt Billy Payne because a lot of the women that chased Tiger Woods, they happen to be Caucasian. And down south, a lot of you good boys, they still don't believe in that miscegenation, even though all life came from Africa. If you look at Dr. Leakey and Greg Remendo, they studied genetics and also they studied anthropology. All life came from Africa. Everybody's black, Big C, if you look at science. But, that's way back when you study science. A lot of people don't understand science, so they'll go by the tertiary effect, what you see. So I want to just touch on this subject because as we get into baseball, I think it's also very, very relevant. I just want to ask your opinion about the black influence in sports. It's made all of the sports leagues multi-billion-dollar leagues now as far as their advertising dollar that they get. We go back to the University of Alabama where the great Paul Bear Bryant, when they lost a football game to USC, I think it was Sam Bam Cunningham, and he said, I got to get me some of them, which he meant the black talent, okay? That's what he was looking at. And then you have the same thing that integrated the NFL. They wanted to get the leagues where they had more African-American talent. I really appreciate what happened with Green Bay and Oakland because they were some of the first to go get the African-American players. Same thing happened in baseball where you talked about, all the great players that integrated baseball. It made baseball more popular worldwide. And, of course, football is the #1 sport out there, but it's very integrated. And unless golf will pick up that moniker that even some of the good old boys resisted, it's going to be a dying sport, Big C, because most people don't believe in integration anymore. And I think what brought Tiger down with the networks was that white women were the ones chasing him, and that's always been a problem for any black male, that they were brought down by white ladies because the media brought them down. I'm not saying it matters what color somebody is. It doesn't matter to me, date who you want. But the white media pejoratively, they hate it when a black man is pursued by white women. Does that make any sense at all, Big C?
Well, it truly is, Charles, because, that old adage is, why don't you stay within your race?
Yeah.
What has that got to do with playing a game?
Nothing.
Then you're back to being segregated in every aspect of life, Charles. What if you had white NBA teams versus black NBA teams? What if you had black baseball teams versus white baseball teams? And even in the NFL, you had black teams versus white teams.
Yeah.
When you think about that, who wants to see a racially divided
Nobody.
of any sort?
No one. Oh, golf does, Big C. Golf does.
Well, golf does, but society still wants, and even tennis wants that, Charles.
Yeah.
But society does not want that, Charles.
No.
For the most part. This is a culturally diverse society, Charles, here in America. And when we think about giving opportunity, we had talked about the lack of investment from Major League Baseball in the inner city youth baseball, Charles.
Yeah.
Where they would rather go down and sign a Latin American player to a contract, sign him to a 5-year contract, Charles, for less than $100,000.
Yeah.
Which is big money for his family down there. You're looking at impoverished areas that they go in and set up these baseball academies.
Yeah.
Think about it, they invested into the African American youth, Charles.
Yeah.
Here in America, we know how dominant they are as athletes, but you don't give them a chance. When you think about some of the better little league fields, Charles, they're not in the inner cities. I mean, they're playing on gravel.
Yeah.
All the way across. But you go out to some suburban areas, Charles. When I was in St. Thomas last week, the whole field was dirt.
Yeah.
An outfield.
Yeah.
They had no grass even in the outfield, but all the players were, dark complected players.
Yeah.
There were a few light complected, Charles, with no whites. But if you invested this money in the inner city, now you can go out to any suburban area, Charles, and you'll see these massive ballparks.
Oh, yeah.
With 4 to 8 diamonds on them. Not only do they have, Little League, but they have the softball diamonds also for the girls, Charles.
Yeah. And see,
but you go into an inner city, they may be one field, Charles.
yeah, and you know what you're saying, Big C, is if anything, Billy Payne and even the golf world, and I know Jim Nance is not the guy to do it because he's not socially conscious at all. He just want to get the next paycheck. He'll do the March Madness, which is primarily African American, where they pack 78,000 people in a stadium down in Arizona, and then they'll do. I mean, it has high ratings, but then they'll do the Masters, and the ratings are in single digits. But if the Masters and the golf world can understand that the number one sports selling jersey in the NBA belongs to Steph Curry for the Golden State Warriors. I think number 2 is LeBron James. Those are 2 African-American athletes. What does that tell you? Most of the people that buy their jerseys are white kids. It's not a lot of black people that are going out spending $50 to $100 on a jersey. That's white money going to buy that. Why am I saying that? Because oftentimes we hear the argument, will the white society support these black kids? We heard that same garbage for when Jackie Robinson came. They told him to take all the racial insults. It wasn't black Americans insulting Jackie Robinson. That was coming from the white fans, even teammates. But they always kind of give them a pass. But if you want to make money, and I like golf too, so I'm just trying to give Branch Ritchie some common sense thought. I'm sure he doesn't talk to many people of color. But if you pay attention to the dollar and where it's coming from, that's making Steph Curry and LeBron James the top 2 merchandising sold in the NBA. That's by white dollars buying black people's jerseys. They need to take some time to invest in the world of golf, into the black communities also, and maybe in Hispanic communities also, because they have money to spend too, Big C. Do you think Payne would ever talk about that? We know Jim Nance won't bring it up, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, no, Jonathan Payne it's too painful for him. Okay?
Yeah.
He's not going to talk about the problems of the masses, that the racial divide that exists. This club is outdated.
Yeah.
As far as its rules, Jonathan.
Yeah.
It's way outdated. It's so archaic. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get a zebra to change his stripes, and that's what these people are. They like zebras, Jonathan.
Yeah.
It's manifesting, over time.
Yeah.
But it's such a separate society down there, and who knows what's going on? It's almost like the Roman days when they talked about the blue blood.
Yeah.
Because it was inbreeding in the family, and that's what the Masters reminds me.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not a blue blood, we don't want you in here.
Yeah.
We want to
Yeah.
in Green Bay.
Yeah.
You can't get a ticket unless it's inherited, by a family member if someone's lost someone.
Yeah.
But, the Masters, ironically, right now, Charlton, is in a dying state. You can publicize, and you think about it, you talk about this event over a month. Everybody knows what it is, but
Yeah.
ESPN advertises it over a month. They don't, you're not talking about the NBA playoffs for over a month. You're still talking about the regular season.
Yeah.
You'll deal with the playoffs when the regular season is over. Even in the NFL, Charlton, you talk about the regular season. Once the playoffs come, that's when you talk about it. But, here's the Masters being pushed.
Yeah.
Over a month trying to draw a deal. But all of a sudden when Tiger pulled out, it wasn't anything you could do other than give away free tickets.
Yeah, and they may have to give Mercedes-Benz some of that money back. And speaking of money, I want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to that billion-dollar industry. If you need insurance, whether you're a pro athlete, a collegiate athlete, a high school player, or even your mom and pop soccer leagues, get out to Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network. We go through Ben and Mark, which has been around over half a century, and we do the best when it comes to insurance. We can even do plans for people down in Mexico. They need insurance sometimes, Big C, for kidnapping. Oftentimes that's done by law enforcement, but we got you covered also. Tweet out to Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network. And also, Big C, as we close out today's show, I just want to ask you, we have a few things that happen in the world of sports. Linebacker James Laurinaitis, he's retiring from the Rams. Wasn't really a great player, but still a well-known player. And why would he step aside with so many years left on his cleats, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, playing at linebacker position in the NFL or even in college or any other level of football is a high-impact position.
Yeah.
Every play you're on a collision course, okay? Whether you're in a run play, especially in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Always on a collision. And, you and I talked about earlier in the program about the concussion.
Yeah.
And, giving the smelling salt, being on concussion protocol. I think the game of football is wonderful and marvelous, and as safe as it is, it's still very unsafe.
Oh, yeah.
And it's getting worse and worse by the year because of the evolution of the player.
Yeah, getting bigger and stronger.
Haven't changed in football, Charlton.
Yeah.
As long as that field stays the same, 50 by 100 yards, it's going to be a very dangerous place. So they're going to need to have to add another 10 yards each way onto that field to try to lessen the damage that players will occur during a contest, Charlton.
Yeah, and that's so obviously we wish every player well, going into the world of sports. I also want to thank Lee Steinberg, one of the best agents in the world, that tweets out to Big C Sports on Twitter. So thanks for following us, Lee, on Big C Sports. Also, Big C, just want to take a little diversion here. We have the United States soccer chief. Trump supports that. It's a joint World Cup bid between the United States of America. You have Mexico, and you also have Canada. Obviously, he's trying to build a wall between the United States and Mexico. No talk about building a wall between the United States and Canada. But listen to this. POTUS is okay with it as long as the sport can bring in money to the United States. Does that make any sense? He doesn't trust people coming here to make a living and pick some of the agriculture out of the fields in California and throughout the Southwest. But he wants people to come in and play sports. I think there's more of an impact on the economy if you have people coming here being able to work in the United States, picking the produce that's going bad in the fields of California. Does that make any sense, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, this is a man that really has never looked at lower level life, Charlton, in America. He's lived in his penthouse. He doesn't see the people walking on the ground, nor would he interact with them. I think since being president, he's interacted with more people than he ever has in his life at any point, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, he doesn't have a reality check about running government or society, understanding how good to get to market. They just don't show up. You can't always go just swipe your credit card.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be some manual labor involved in those produces getting to the store, Charles.
Yeah.
And for him wanting to cut off America's lifeline, that reminds you of the slave ships, Charles. They didn't have produce on there.
No.
So many people ended up with rickets and other disorders, crossing the ocean because they didn't have produce. So think about it, when you start having to pay $2.50, $3 for a head of lettuce.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, whoa, I didn't want the whole field, I just wanted the bottom. One head of lettuce.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, I look at strawberries. I bought some strawberries the other day when I arrived back home.
Yeah.
And I paid $2.99 for a basket of strawberries. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
We may have by the end of the summer, with the lack of labor, being able to go out there and pick them. So he doesn't understand what he's doing to the layman person in America. I mean, you have so many yahoos out there saying, yeah, just give a guy a chance. Give a guy a chance for what? You threw a strike on Syria.
Yeah.
And say, well, I'm going to let people. But he didn't say anything bad about Putin. It was almost like Sean Spicer. And I think one of those S's in his name,
yeah.
His stands for stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. In front of the White House press corps, Charlton.
Yeah.
And then the audacity of Syria using the chemical weapon, which is true. But he said it's kind of kinning to Hitler because Hitler never used chemical weapons.
Wow.
And it's like, I mean, every Jewish American and every Jewish person in the world had to, stand up and pause for a minute.
Yeah.
Everybody, the sixth graders knew that Hitler used chemical weapons.
Yeah.
And the Jewish people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Sean Spicer stands up on a national stage today and said it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so, it's appalling the disrespect that he gave to a culture of people.
6 million people died. Yeah.
Atrocity,
yeah.
To say that they didn't suffer.
Yeah.
And that Hitler treated them nicely.
Yeah. That's a shame, and that's a fact too. So even for the good old boys that you want to keep giving this guy a chance. I even apologize to the Jewish community for his lack of taste and concern and even empathy. We know he couldn't care less about the Middle Passage and the 50 million people who lost their lives in the Middle Passage, and I just think sometimes you got to say, where's John McCain? I mean, obviously, we want our country to do great, but obviously, for people who still think it's okay, I don't know what you're drinking down there. But, Big C, I also wanted to ask you this question, too. Coming up on the world of baseball tonight, we have more great baseball happening, but I just want to pay homage a little bit to the top 10 college baseball programs, according to USA Today. Number 1, Oregon State. They're 28-1. Number 2, Louisville. They're 27-4. Number 3 is TCU. They're 26-5. Followed by number 4, Clemson. Man, their athletic program is really off the hook. They're 28-5. Number 5, North Carolina. They just won a national championship in basketball. Now their baseball team is 26-6. You have Texas Tech at 28-7. Arizona's 23-8. And LSU is 22-11, number 8 in the country. Cal State Fullerton, the Titans, they are number 9, followed by Florida at 21-11. So that's for your college basketball, actually college baseball rankings. As we close, Big C, we know the NBA's down to one more game for a lot of the teams out there playing tonight. LeBron James, I guess he's taking the day off. I don't think Russell Westbrook is going to take the day off. And then Curry and Durant, they played together last night, but they got had by the Utah Jazz. It's obviously good when you lose a game before you get into the playoffs, but they had been on 14 in a row. Your thoughts going into the playoffs? Who's looking the best? We know the MVP should be Russell Westbrook. If not him, get rid of the award. Your thoughts on going into the final game of the NBA, Big C, the final week this week? Who are you looking at making a good move, getting in great position to win their first round of the playoffs, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I think everybody's kind of said, Cleveland most likely will end up being a number 2 seed. They're a game behind Boston.
Yeah.
When you look at MVPs, Charles, LeBron James truly is the MVP of the NBA. Russell Westbrook will win it this season, okay?
Yeah.
And surely he deserves that. But James is the MVP. I mean, his numbers are up this year in assists and rebounds.
Yeah.
Career highs. And he's always going to score. But, it's going to be intriguing in the playoffs, Charles. Can Golden State keep the momentum that they have?
Yeah.
Going into the playoffs. I mean, they won the last, 15 games?
Oh, yeah. 14, 15, yeah.
And the most disappointing team of all are the Clippers.
Yeah.
This is a team that has been snake bitten ever since Doc Rivers has gotten there, where they just cannot win a round in the playoffs.
Yeah.
How well will James Harden play? Will he be mad at Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
You think about it, the top 2 vote getters in the MVP race have to face each other in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, if Harden and the Rockets win this, was Harden the MVP?
Well, yeah.
So, it's going to be a lot of intrigue when it comes there. Can Toronto slip up on anybody in the East? They've been so close the past couple of years, but they just haven't gotten the job done. But,
yeah.
It's just going to be be interesting, you know, when we look at the NBA playoffs and the matchups, you know, what's going to occur. You know, you always like Cleveland, even though Boston potentially will win the East.
Yeah.
But they just don't have the staying power.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Isaiah Thomas can be physical enough, Charlton, in 5 and 6 game series, you know, versus the bigger players in the East.
Well, Big C, those are very good points. I know we're all looking forward to more Major League Baseball. We're looking forward to all the great things that are happening in the world of the NHL up there in hockey. You good boys up north in Canada, also playing here in the United States of America. The NBA playoffs, I believe they all start on Saturday. I'm really looking forward to just seeing some competitive games where you have teams that put everything on the line, and they all tend to play like Russell Westbrook when it comes to that, Big C. And speaking of Russell Westbrook, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network, the #1 network in the United States of America, and also Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say every prime program we talk about, there's never any excuse for domestic violence. You should never put your hand on a woman. If you know any woman going through that garbage, please call 911 so she don't have to deal with it on her own. And as we always tell you on every program, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.